Everyone, this is Maitri. This video, we are going to be talking about the Swagger API. So to start with the brief introduction about this tool. So this tool helps to gives us a user-friendly interface to design and develop and then debug the APIs. Now to start with what kind of tool or a framework it is. So it's an open source tool. Also, there are paid versions of this tool which gives you more enhanced functionalities. But the basic version, I think, goes well for all developers. The main use of this tool is for API specification. It also has like various subtools. It has Swagger editor, it has Swagger UI, it also has Swagger inspector, and it also has Swagger code gen. Now let's talk about like how to install it or how to use it. So the installation is pretty simple. There are various versions and ways you can install the Swagger API tool. First one is if you want it straight away, you can just go to the website, which is swagger.io. And then if you want to install or download the desktop version, it also has the application versions for all different operating systems. We can use this tool when we want to develop the API. For instance, let us say API, we want to see it somewhere. We want to see it running somewhere. We cannot see it running somewhere unless we have a proper UI framework where we can run it on. So for that, I'll have to start learning the UI, which will require a lot of time because it's not an easy task in itself. What Swagger does it gives you the UI interface, the Kickstart UI interface. Other than that, API documentation is also very important part. Now, the documentation is not very verbose. I won't be able to understand the user library. So that's where the developers who are developing the APIs have to be very careful about when they document the API. So the main functionality is API testing, the API debugging, testing, and troubleshooting. So here is when you can like while you're building or while you're developing the API, you can test it so that once it is integrated with the UI framework, you are rest assured that it is going to work because you have already tested it on your Swagger tool. Talking about where this API fits in, where this API tool fits in the space framework. So I would say that it fits in the majority of all different criteria of space framework, starting from performance. So it can improve the performance of developers by simplifying the API development process. So it reduces the time for documentation of API because it helps us create the documentation of our API and maintain the documents of our API. It also has some code generation features which can help developers to create high quality API with like fewer errors. So before using this tool, how the normal procedure was, a front-end developer will develop the front-end UI, and then once there is a standalone UI interface that a developer has built, a front-end developer has built, it then gets passed on to the backend developer, and then backend developer build API on the top of the front-end UI that is built API. So there's a lot of dependency of both these different teams, which the tool can solve, where backend developer can parallelly work on building the API without having to worry about how it's going to look on a UI. So that's how it improves the performance and efficiency of both the developers. The most efficient part of this API tool is testing and debugging. So it helps to encounter the issues and pitholes in the code early on in the stages before the integration with UI. So it also improves collaboration and cooperation between teams, because the good part about this Swagger API tool is you can send this Swagger API to your fellow teammates, and it improves interaction between the team members, and it also like I said, reduces dependency. So it can also be used to track my interaction with team members. Some specific scenarios where I think this tool will be used and will be very helpful is for integration and documentation. The other part is if you want to versions your API, it also supports that. So if your API is always evolving and there are different versions of the APIs that you launch every some particular period of time, you can use this because it keep tracks of all different versions and what have you improved and what changes you have made throughout different versions. Development wise, also it it it, uh, it helps you to improve your development process by giving you a more visual tool. Now I'll share my screen. As you can see, I'm using the web interface. I've not installed the application. If you go into the tools section, there are various different um, more components of this tool. If you go to explore all section, it will give you even more tools. You can use this tool. This is for documentation, like I talked about, which gives you the develop. It improves the developer experience with interactive API documentation. And then there is this testing tool, which I've used so far. So it does the simple functional testing, unit testing, and all different types of testing tool. So this, like, I'll go to live demo here. Now here, there's already one API which is built. We'll quickly see and demonstrate how it works. So let's say I want to create a pet which has the ID. So I'll have to first go and click on this try it out, and then I'll be able to edit it. I'll type the ID for instance, I typed 12345 as the ID, and the name of my pet is Goldie. And then I can also select the way I want to see my content. It can be in JSON, it can be in XML, because APIs work in both different formats. So it gives us this flexibility to choose which version we want. So I'll keep it the default version, which is JSON. And when I create execute, it will call the post request on that API, and it will save it. So it has executed this post request for this ID, this name, and whatever configuration I'm giving. It will also generate the response parameters and the response for me. So this is the curl response. If we want to see the response body, it's here. As you can see, it has generated the response body for me. I can even change the response body according to my API. So here, the API requires the response body to be in this format. If I can also get this ID. So if I go to get ID and I'll go to try it out again, I'll go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which was the ID that I'd written. And when I execute, it will show me the response body, which is just what I typed. So I can also download this. I can also copy this. I can also see the success code. Let's try it with one deliberate error, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we don't have any ID of this type for the pet. So it will give me error pet not found. So the error also is very verbose. You see, I have not created the structure for this, and it still tells me what is the error. So it's easier to debug and troubleshoot. So also, if you see, it also tells me the response headers. So you can use all types of put requests, get request, post request. It also has an option for image upload. So if your website has a lot of image uploads for post and gets request, you can also make use of this. The good part is it also has the HTTP schemes. So most APIs use HTTPS, but if for some reasons you're using HTTP, you can also select that format. Mm. So I'll like to end the video here. Thank you for watching this video. Have a nice day.